We're live, baby. Go for it.
I can't hear you, girl.
Okay, you're live. Go for it.
Namaste, everyone, and welcome to another Friday afternoon live Qigong. So today we're going to carry on with our 5-element flow, and today we're going to do some specific work for autumn. We've just turned into, in this part of the hemisphere anyway, the autumn equinox, and so that's associating Chinese medicine with the lungs and the lung element, which is boosting our immune system, and our lungs are breathing. So we're going to do a little bit more on that today. So find yourself your usual comfy spot, comfy clothes, whether seated or standing, and we'll start with our usual warm-up. Let our body, our mind, our spirit, our whole being come into this moment. Know that this is time for ourselves. So we just flex those fingers and then wrists in a kind of hourglass figure of 8 shape, and the other way. Really flex them fingers, and all we're doing with these is just fully utilizing the range of motion of all of our joints, giving them a full flex. We open up the elbows, just imagine them fixed in space, and we're just turning our arms. You could even imagine like puppet strings. Someone's just moving the hands, it's effortless. Just to loosen up them joints. Lovely. Okay, so with the shoulders now, back to the hands facing forward and swinging round. I tend to have a bit of a wave through my spine as I do this, just because it feels good. Find what works for you. And then take the backs of your palms facing back and swing them round. And we're just starting to gently warm up the body. Ready for some flows. And to start to transition into that quieter state of being. You can roll the shoulders backwards and forwards. Find that quite nice for the spine as well. Okay, so let's do the neck, and always be aware for your own neck, own body. Listen to what feels good for you. I imagine a line of opposition between the crown and the tailbone to give a bit more integrity through the spine. As owl turns its head, so we've got our arms in front of us. Just turn to the sides and let them drop down slightly. And to the other side. Our neck can turn side to side, up and down. And then in a circle fashion. So we're just going to do that now. The rest of the warm-up with stork spreads its feathers. So imagine scooping water, pushing it to the sides. And this is my favorite for releasing any tension or tightness off the shoulders. In fact, we'll do it 2 more times. Scoop that water. Let the shoulder blades melt down the back body. Final time. Imagine gravity pulling your fingertips down. You're staying alert and active. As we've now got a line of opposition between the crown and the opposite fingers. And we can have a gentle roll over that shoulder. And over to the other side. Again, imagine that line of opposition. And I find that lights up the whole side of my arm, the head. And in Chinese medicine, if you read into their theory and accept any of their notions and beliefs, we've got meridians through those arms, and that's just opening up the pathways, just creating some extra space. Let's warm up them hips. My sensei in Aikido and in Qigong, it said you do 1 exercise a day to get the core, get spiraling around the core, center, starting from our center, and that spiral, that aspect of life, everything grows in the spiral, the helix, the plants, the trees. So we're just inviting the body to gently move naturally and open up a bit of space around that core. Okay, let's take our tray of teacups, and we'll do it like a teapot today, where the arm comes in pushes behind, comes around and over the head. So again, we're imagining keeping that palm with a cup of tea on the whole time, so we don't want it to spill. So we bring it in to face the side, push away and behind us. Then we bring the arm around, still palm facing up, and it comes round so the fingers are facing behind us and back. In, behind, round to the side. And when we've got that, you can add in the hips as well, so that as the arm comes round, there's space at the side of the hips. As the arm goes forward, the hips goes forward. And just imagine spiraling. Intention is half the way. I used to find these quite challenging and learn and grow through each practice. So it's just the intention to imagine that spiraling going right the way through the body. Full flex through the hips, the waist. And to the other side. Just an opportunity to just slow down, to fully feel your joints move and flex. Feel the full rotation of the wrist, the hips. Spiraling right the way through the soles of your feet, even if you're seated. Final time. Arms come back to the side. Slight circle to integrate that. So we're going to just do some silk reeling just to open up the rest of the body. So we start in our kind of wuji stance, hips slightly wider than shoulder width. Find what's comfortable. And it's just a slight wave through the spine. So you'll see from the side, chest goes forward, hips go back. And then the hips go forward, the chest comes back. We're just letting a roll come right the way through from the soles of the feet and ripple up. And this is going to help us when we get to the fountain in our flows. You can do this with the breath. You can slow this down. Find what feels good. This is just to open the front and back of the spine. And bring some nice full body awareness. Okay, so hopefully feeling a bit looser now. We'll do them ankles because they're one that can be forgotten. Get that full rotation in the ankles. Shake it to the front, the sides and the back. Ooh. And use a wall. Balance isn't great today. I've had a bit of soft tissue damage on the foot, so I'm changing my practice. I'm tweaking it and I'm using shoes at the minute with thicker soles. So find what works for you. Right, so we're going to do a little bit of shake the tree and we're going to do some tapping here as well. So let's start with knocking on the door of life, and we're going to focus today on if you just follow along your collarbone where it meets the shoulders nest, about 2 fingers beneath that. This is our long 2 point. And what we're going to be doing with knocking on the door of life is we'll be activating this point just to get a bit of clearing. So knocking on the door of life is where we twist, and the spine and the waist and the arms are just gently following until they lightly knock on either side of the lower back, but not directly on the spine. So we'll just do this initially to open up the spine. You can look behind you as well if that feels comfortable for your neck. That's it. And then when you're ready, if you like to, you can bring the arm up to knock on that lung point. This is said to support the lung channels, which is associated with courage. And lungs are said to hold despair, sadness. So if there's any grief, any sense of low self-esteem or low mood or lacking courage in something, you can imagine on the exhales just releasing that. You can sigh audibly. Stimulating the acupressure points, supporting the immunity. Autumn's a time for letting go. So letting go, making space, and knocking, shaking, tapping can allow us to do that. So Let's do our shake the tree before we go into our flows, and we'll have plenty of time for the flows. So just gently bouncing up and down, either if you're seated into your sits bones or into your heels if you're standing, if that's comfortable. Really make sure you get a nice flex on the wrists and the fingers. Introducing that loud audible ha, the kind of sigh. Supposed to relieve stress markers in the body. All I know is for me, it feels good. I tend to feel lighter, a bit less tense. Really imagine them shoulder blades melting down the back body with this. After the shoulders carry a lot of tension. We'll be doing a bit more to release and relax the shoulders over the coming weeks as we turn to autumn and winter, and there's a great tendency for hunching. So final few goes, just release any tension or tightness, any frustrations. If you've got emotions going on, bring them arms over the top of the head and release. 2 more of that. Do this with frustration. You can do this with any emotion, any time of day. This just connects the heart meridian. Flick it out the fingers, we let it go. Let it be transmuted or released from the feet, composted, transformed to something else. So we take our standard Wuji posture as we go into our standing postures, and we'll do the posture and the flow, posture and flow today. So our first posture, we're holding around the kind of large intestine, the lower abdomen level. And you can also imagine breathing just into all 4 sides of your torso. And the tailbone slightly dipped, slight bend in the knees, slight lift in the crowns, up of the chin. Legs are about shoulder width apart. And just imagine all 4 sides of the abdomen expanding outwards. So first, bring your awareness to breathing at the front of the abdomen. Just inviting it to rise and fall. And then breathing into the back of the abdomen, the kidneys. You can bring the tongue to the roof of the mouth, which just connects the microcosmic orbits. Which in Chinese medicine is the yin and the yang, just bringing balance, full cycle. Now imagine breathing into the sides. Just gifting our body permission to breathe deeper, to take full space. Don't worry if you can't feel it. It's just intention. It's just an invite to your body here and now. This is supporting the lungs, and it's also, we're anchoring, we're rooting that breath in the kidneys. So they help us to harness that breath, that energy. As we go to our first flow, so Buddha holds up the earth. So we bring the arms up, still facing the chest. And then we turn over the head. We're still in our Wuji stance, still breathing into the abdomen. And we can look up slightly as we lift. Breathe in as the arms lift. And so we're imagining gathering energy, breath from the skies, Chinese spirit. We're bringing that down, facing the lungs, and then anchoring it in the abdomen. Final time. And this time, as we bring it down, facing the chest, just bring those arms in and just have them facing slightly the lung points we were activating earlier and knocking the door of life. Along the collarbone, just where it meets the shoulder's nest, 2 fingers below. And you can imagine just sending white light. You can just imagine those points stimulated. You can imagine breath concentrated, supporting the immunity, the lungs. And the breath still land and fall in the abdomen and in these points. They say where attention goes, energy flows, so just the intent to support the system. As we now move on to supporting our kidneys. So we're standing in the same posture as Wuji, but our arms are behind us. Find a comfortable stance so the arms are slightly away from the back if that's comfortable. You can always have still slight bend in the knees, and keeping the spine straight, you may lean forward slightly if that's more comfortable. Always maintaining integrity, imagining that line of opposition between the crown and the tailbone. Find what feels comfortable. Again, there's still a slight tuck of the chin. Grounded through all 4 corners of the feet. And the hands are almost just cupping, just bringing awareness, attention to the lower back area. And again, we can re-pick up that abdominal breathing to the back. Breathing into the kidneys. Kidneys associated with water, introspection, quietude. Like the waters that flow, quiet under the waters. The dark depths of the ocean, just the peace, the stillness. So we're leaning into that here, just breathing, inviting the body to relax. And we focus our attention on our body. And bring the arms back round. And we go onto the fountain. So arms come together. Imagine them floating on a pond of water. Back to the palms up. And like we were doing in our warm-up, we rotate just around the elbows. So a ripple comes up the spine. A bit like silk reeling, but more gentle. So a gentle wave, hips and chest. So the hips go slightly back, chest slightly forward. And just hinging around the elbow. Breathing in to come up. And exhaling down. Gentle wave through the spine like water. Imagine water spurting out. One more time. And come back to our Wuji stance. This time the arms come in front of the chest, standing like a tree. And this supports our wood element, which is associated with the liver. This is balance, this is groundedness, while at the same time connected above and below, like a tree. And I imagine a slight stretching of the hands and the palms here, and the same with the toes. This supports the fascia, the connective tissue in the body. So as we invite a bit of a stretch, invite more space through the connective tissue, that which holds everything together. Creating space for the changes of the season. The liver associated with anger, frustration, and as well its counterpart, loving kindness. So whether extending some self-love now, or imagine releasing any frustrations, let the leaves fall from the trees, letting go what doesn't need to remain, and breathing in just some self-compassion, self-love. A gentle smile perhaps on the face. Bring that feel good in. Imagine the hands like corks floating on water and the shoulders. And bring the arms down. Tree sways in the wind, the arms come up the side. Got a bit of arm over and round. So we're tracing up the liver channel, the wood channels, the centre in it. You can imagine white light to bring the mind into this, washing up the side, flushing through, and then releasing down the centre while we come back to our core, our foundation. A bit like letting them dead leaves drop, flushing the channels. Keep the shoulders nice and relaxed. Final time to each side. And we go to our holding the golden urn to the yang position. So we're still standing in Wuji. Our elbows aren't fully outstretched, so there's like comfortable bend in them. We're imagining the sides of them palms a bit like an axe, a bit like a blade, just pushing slightly out and up, just to open the meridians, the energy lines down the sides of our hands. We're just imagining a goblet, a chalice, just being filled with sunlight, with white light, with whatever resonates for you. Just imagining yourself as an overflowing cup. You won't be here for long. Just taking a deep breath as you imagine light washing in and down your arms, down your front and into your core. Imagine an infinite supply, constant flow, constant fullness. This connected with the heart. You can imagine it flowing down into the heart and beating, spreading with every beat through the whole body. Every cell, every nerve tingling, filled to the brim. As we bring those arms down. And let's go for cloudy hands. So one arm comes across the chest, facing the heart level, got a slight arch in it. One arm facing the floor, and this is the one where we go. Shift the weight, turn, keeping our spine nice and straight. So we're just turning like a spit. Like we're on a spit, like we're on a pivot, a fixed point. So we shift the weight, turn, change hands. Shift the weight, turn, change hands. Shift the weight, turn, change hands. And cloudy hands is imagining sunlight on a lake. So those waters are evaporating, one hand like steam, the other hand like the sun, warming our heart while the mist rises, like while the clouds part. This for the breath. We change breath as the arm shifts. So we go shift, turn, and then we change the breath. So breathe in, shift, turn, and breathe out. But with your own breath, find your own rhythm. Sometimes just break it down, focus on one component. Comes with time. Just imagine that gentle lake, that warm sun. So we now come to holding the golden urn to the yin position. So again, we remain in Wuji, like tuck of the chin, lift of the crown. We're relaxed, soft in the elbows, but slightly alert. I'm maintaining awareness right the way through my palms as if they're slightly cupped. So I'm not just dropping them, I'm keeping full body awareness. And just connecting into our foundation, this feeling the soles of your feet. Around our solar plexus level, this is our earth element, our earth center. So that's nourishment, nurturing, community. Associated with a yellow colour. So focus on the earth, the bones of your body. Breathing awareness into your foundation. It's supported and connected to the stomach, the spleen, digestion. Resting into our bones, providing the time and space for the body to digest, to rest, to rise rooted. As we take those hands for our final pebble in the pond, it's like waves rippling out. Our arms are tracing the surface of water. And we scoop it in, kind of to the solar plexus level. So again, imagine a pebble being cast onto the pond, ripples, arms come round, gather. And imagine like looking at the reflection in the water. So there's a slight lean forward, but keeping a straight spine. When you're ready, arms come to the center and we'll draw down the heavens. So arms come, scoop, gather. Purple light washes through the crown, right the way through the body with your breath at your own pace. And breathe in, we gather. We exhale as purple light washes down through the body. And this is just letting the body settle, rest, letting the energy rest in. Feet come together. And just drawing to each side. Coming back to our center and our core. Both hands come over the lower abdomen and return into that breath that reaches all sides of the abdomen, the front, the back, the sides. Anchoring, rooting back in our core. And rocking and swaying like bamboo in the wind, just like bending the knees. Just letting the body move, gently sway. Let the energy settle as the winds blow by, just like autumn outside. Nothing to resist. Moving with the winds, within and without. Flexible, supple. As we just trace the center line, final deep breath into the abdomen, and release with an audible sigh. Namaste, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Take good care, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.